Hey guys, what's going on? It's Don here from Novaspirit Tech and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be checking out the T20s from Doogee. So let's get started. Now, I was pretty interested in taking a look at this tablet. That's because it is using a CPU that I've actually never really tested before, which is the unisoc T616. It's a fairly affordable SoC, or CPU as you can say, and they're starting to come into more and more devices that I'm noticing. So when I had the opportunity to test this out, I actually wanted to see how it would run, if there's any hiccups of it, how slow is it, basically all the little things. But because of the CPU, I think a lot of tablets down the road are getting cheaper and cheaper because it's not bad in the specs. To jump into it, you do get a stock Android system, which means there's no bloatware. There's barely anything installed other than the things I installed in there. It's completely blank. There's no bloatware or anything. You're just getting the blank Android experience. You do have a lot of Google applications, which is Gmail, Google Apps, tons of stuff like that, but it doesn't have all the bloatware that you would be looking for, like if you find another tablet. I do like the fact that it is like that. Now, jumping into the specs, we do get the Android 13 stock, like I was saying before, the ARM unisoc CPU, and it's 8 cores. 6 cores are on 1.82 gigahertz, while 2 big cores are on 1.95. 8 gigs of RAM, and you get the Mali G52 MP1. Now, the resolution on this 10.4 inch screen is 2000 by 1200, and DPI is 222. It's actually a very good viewing experience, and it's IPS monitor, so I could view it at many angles, and it's not Gorilla Glass or scratch resistant, so that's where they cheaped out on the screen at least. Now, it does come with a screen protector, but when you do peel it, you just got to be careful, because when I peeled it, everything came off, and I tried to reassemble back the screen protector, but you could see that there's a lot of bubbles, and that's definitely my fault because I couldn't get all the dust and everything out of there. But yeah, you can't really use this without a screen protector because I'm just afraid that I'm going to scratch it. Now, talking about the outside of this Android tablet, we are getting a 7.9 millimeter thickness. On the top of this, you get the power button, a little hole right here for the reset switch, and then the volume buttons. Now, on one side, you got the USB-C, and then you also have the SIM card area where you could actually use dual SIM or SD card in this slot, and one speaker on this side. Underneath it, you do have this pinout where you could actually attach a keyboard to it, which I'll show you an image right here. You can purchase an optional case and keyboard assembly that you could pop into this. And then on the opposite side, you have another speaker. Now, sometimes I see tablets have 4 speakers. This one only has 2, so it is loud, but not as loud as some of the ones that I've heard before. Now, on the back of this is some sort of alloy construction, or I don't know if it's aluminum. They didn't really specify if it's aluminum, but some sort of metal backing, and it is like prone to fingerprints. I got so many fingerprints on this, so you got to really be careful, and it's kind of things with you get with the quality of this stuff. But yes, you also get a 13 megapixel camera. There's nothing here. This is just, I don't know what this is, and then a flashlight. And that is about it for the construction itself. Now, this does have a pretty large battery in here, which is 7,500 milliamp hour battery. And it lasts, supposedly what they say, 8 hours of just using it. Now, I've used it on and off, and I think I got nearly 6 hours down to 10% battery. So maybe if it was, depending on the display brightness and everything else that you're doing, you might be able to get 8 hours out of it. But I'm talking about like light usage, web browsing, reading some documents, some YouTube, stuff like that. I was able to get generally about 6 hours out of this. Now, if I was to use this for gaming, probably a lot less. I haven't really used this for gaming much because after testing this out, honestly, it's not really built for gaming, but it is enough for you to do a lot of browsing and office usage and stuff like that. So we'll hit on the gaming part a little bit later. Now, as far as the back camera goes, right over here, this is 5 megapixel, which is just good enough for video conferencing. And I think that's about it for everything that's attached. There is no 3.5 audio jack, and the USB-C that you plug stuff in is only a USB 2.0, so transfer speeds are pretty slow with that. Now, internally, you do get 8 gigs of RAM, and they advertise it as 15 gigs. That's because you're able to do extended RAM or virtual RAM with the 8 gigs to boost it up to 15, which I think is like a marketing technique. And they've done this with a lot of their phones and as well as other tablets before. So I've seen this marketing technique, but just keep in mind, if it says 20 gigs, it's usually 12 gigs of RAM and 8 gigs is, the extended RAM. Or in this case, if it's 15, that means it's 8 gigs of RAM and 7 gigs of extended RAM. So don't get fooled by that. Just go by 2, 4, 6, 8, and if it adds up to what the number is for RAM, it should be that. It wouldn't be anything odd like 17 or 15 gigs of RAM. Now, as far as the internal storage goes, this model does have 128 gigabytes of storage internally. It uses UFS 2.1, which is pretty high speed transfer rate, and it does support up to 1 terabyte SD card, which is from the slot that we saw earlier where you could put in your SIM. It also has FM AM support for radio, and it also has GPS support, but no hardware compass. Now, one of the things that they're selling big on this, which is the Widevine L1, which is pretty good for a device like this, giving it the ability to play high definition videos. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it to work while I was filming this video due to the fact that Netflix probably didn't have it, have this device as a registered device with Widevine. So I was only able to play SD. To show you, if I head into Netflix, this is what I mean. Over here where you say maximum playback resolution is only SD because it's not detecting the Widevine L1. So we're kind of stuck with SD until Netflix kind of, I guess, update their system that this is a supported device. Otherwise, it does play Netflix pretty well. I do use this for multimedia a lot, which is Netflix or my Plex server. So I have a lot of media going on, or I play YouTube videos with this. The speakers itself is very loud, but it comes very flat and tinny. When it gets to a really loud volume, it does feel tinny. So hear this out. And that was just a quick demonstration from a benchmark that I was doing before. As far as the benchmarks go, as you can see, this is from a 2.2 benchmark, and I'm using version 9.0, not 10.0. I think 10.0, the stats are a little bit higher, which I'm used to 9.0, so I just stuck with 9.0. So we're getting 268,000, and you're gonna notice the GPU is the lowest score here, which is the Mali 57. And again, it does reflect this because playing games on this is not that fast. Like, I was trying to turn this into more of an emulation machine where I could play PlayStation or PlayStation 2, and it really struggles trying to play PlayStation 2. Well, if this score was about 50,000, I think it should do fine. It's just shy of that. So that is the outcome of the benchmark. Heading into the next benchmark for the read and write speed, which I was telling you about the UFS 2.1, you do get speeds of 1,000 megabytes, sequential read speed, write speed of 862, random access for read is 257, and write is 250. So it's a pretty high speed storage in here. Now, as far as Geekbench, you can see over here, single core score is 447 and multi-core score is 1581, which isn't too bad. Actually, the CPU itself is pretty good. It's just the GPU is extremely lacking. As far as one of the tests goes, I'm gonna play some SSX3. Now, as this game is loading, it does have 330 nit of brightness, so it does get pretty bright if you need to. And it's actually not bad for a screen like this. So right now, it's at max brightness, and it's not too bad. Now, playing the intro and everything, loading into the game, it actually loads pretty good. Let me hit the start button. But if I get into a game, like right now, if you could see, it's about 59 frames, 50 frames. It jumps up and down, but it's around 50 frames per second, and it's very playable at this. As long as it hits 30 and up, it's actually not a bad experience. But once you load into a game, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. There you have it, 17 frames per second. And the audio slows down. Just starting off the gate. You see how slow it is? 13 frames per second. 14. It does clear up at times once you get to certain spots. Like right now it's 30 frames per second, 31. It looks smooth. It's not bad, but once there's other players loading in, oops, it's very hard to play this game without a controller. Now, if you see my previous video, I did try to run Windows games with this as well, which is the win leader right here. And it does play some older games. It was able to play Fast and Light and something else like that. So if you want to check out that video, I'll leave a link right over here. But as far as my thoughts on this is that I do like the fact that it does have Android stock on here. That's a huge bonus because it doesn't have all the bloatware that I have to worry about or get rid of. It does have a pretty strong CPU in here, which is 8 cores, and you're able to do a lot of the reading, browsing, whatever you want on this. So you can play games, but it's gonna hinder on a lot of the larger titles on the Android. Even I'm just trying to play emulation, which is really good stress on the CPU and the GPU, so that's what you get for the results. I do like the fact that it does have a huge battery life on this. I was able to leave this standby for like 6 days, using it for about 6 hours. Now the downside to this that I don't really like, the worst part, is that they only ship with a 10-watt charger, and you can't go, there's no fast charging or anything. It takes literally hours to charge this up. I think a total of 2 hours, maybe 3 hours to fully charge this from like 10% all the way up to 100%. So definitely struggles with charging, and it doesn't have a 3.5mm jack. So you do have to purchase a USB-C to 3.5mm just so you could use headphones. Now, because this is technically a cell phone, you could use this for calls and stuff like that. It does blast through the speakers, so you do definitely want to use USB-C to a 3.5mm jack to use your headphones on that. Otherwise, everybody can hear your conversations. But for the price that this tablet is in, and the thinness and the lightness, according to what I'm reading over here, I get about 475 grams. So it's very light. It's actually pretty portable. It slips in everywhere. I do like it. The cameras do not do much justice, so I won't really be using that for that fact, but it does have that ability. All right, here's the quality of the front camera video, and you could probably tell the mic sounds a little muffled. So I'm going to switch it to the back now to show you the quality of the back camera. Here's the quality of the back camera itself. Yeah, doesn't look too bad, but again, it's not high quality, so this is what you're going to get. Otherwise, I see it to be a pretty good price. Sometimes they have sales on this. So I did see this at one point for $159. Right now it's at $199. So yeah, if you keep your eye on this, you might be able to pick this up for a really good price. Anyway, that is it for me, guys. If you have any questions about this tablet, let me know down in the description below. If you guys are new to this channel, consider subscribing and also hit that bell notification icon so you know when the next video is going to be out. And I say in my nerd cave, hack till it hurts.